Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are reviewing the incredibly good looking, the impossibly hard to get, the desirable, the famous tank from Tinker Knives. The brainchild of Takayuki Shibata, he aims to create a product which is functionally perfect, but aesthetically odd. He knows he's hit the nail on the head when he shows his wife the final design and she says it looks ugly or weird. Creating one-of-a-kind hybrids in terms of knife geometry, his Tinker series are a fan favorite amongst most Japanese knife enthusiasts. But first, if you like what you see, don't forget to support the channel by liking, subscribing, and while that mouse is scrolling everywhere, hit that bell button so you can be notified when the next video is coming out. Let's get into it. The Tinker Tank, as it's best called, is a knife which is produced in small quantities and therefore is very well sought after by Japanese knife enthusiasts. Because of its rarity, people often ask me, is it worth it? So today I decided I'd finally review this knife. And it's thanks to people like Greg from Never a Dull Moment who convinced me that this knife review would be valuable to the community. A few words from Greg.
Thanks, Frankie. This is Greg from Never a Dull Moment, and I appreciate the opportunity to let you guys know this knife review is important because this knife is iconic. If you don't know already, Akita-san, the great blacksmith, with Shibata, the incredible sharpener. I mean, it's a knife that everyone's going to want to own if they're into, knife collecting. So definitely check out Frankie for some more. He's got a great knife collection. Man, you've got to check out all of those out. We love seeing you over on our channel. We appreciate it very much. Frankie, keep up doing what you're doing. We appreciate you. I'm hoping you guys are having never a dull moment.
The Tinker Tank is a 180mm hybrid of what, in my opinion, is a mix of a bunka, nikiri, and a cleaver. The blade is Aogami Super with a super attractive matte finish kuruochi, and as usual from any knife Shibata-san works on, great attention to detail with a polished choil and spine. But to make sure it meets the rustic feel he was aiming for, rather than a knife smith or brand engraving in the knife, you'll find the date the knife was produced instead and its batch quantity, which makes it even more desirable. In this case, my knife was made August 23rd, 2019, and is knife 4 of a batch of 9 produced on the aforementioned date. The date on this one, as you can see, was hand engraved. Newer versions you'll find more machine engraved. Handle is rosewood with a blonde packawood ferrule. So, what were some of my first impressions? Easy. First impression was after the, of course, classic, wow, this is a gorgeous knife, handle, and finish was, damn, that is one of the heaviest knives I've ever held. And I don't mean just a little bit front heavy. I mean, look at this thing. You see the depth of the belly? It's a partial tang. It is incredibly front heavy. And so, of course, when I started using it with the classic pinch grip, I found it very awkward to hold. I did not feel like I was in control. So get this, revolutionary, mind-blowing, you heard it here first. What did I do? I adapted and I went for the 2-pinch grip. I don't know if anyone's ever done this, but trust me, if you get a Tinker Tank and you find it awkward because like me, you're a bit of a short, smaller man and it's very front heavy and it just doesn't feel like you're in control, adopt the 2-finger pinch method. Now, it being front heavy isn't necessarily a con. It's actually quite desirable because with a knife that is this large, that has a belly that is this deep, and yet has an incredibly thin edge, the whole fact that it is front heavy is what makes it literally just fall through anything. Butternut squash, you'll see later I'll be cutting a sweet potato. Even fine garlic is very easy. Now, of course, the pro of this knife is not that it is the most precise blade in the house. If I had to cut garlic, I'd probably choose my 150mm petty or even maybe a 210 Gyuto Max over this 180mm cleaver-like bunka nikiri. But that doesn't mean it can't do it. If you need one knife to kind of do it all and you want to look like a badass, you definitely want to get yourself a Tinker Tank. Another pro of this knife, I mean again, it has to do with the belly. Look at that knuckle clearance. My knuckles are literally about 4 inches off the cutting board. I don't care if you're Thor Bjornsson, you can be holding the Tinker Tank and you would still have knuckle clearance, which again makes it very enjoyable to use. Now coming up you'll see I'll be cutting some garlic, some cherry tomatoes, some sweet potato. Of course, sweet potato is really where a knife like this shines because typically a high dense, high starch ingredient. Most people have knives that they struggle using to cut a sweet potato efficiently. Now with the Tinker Tank. Another thing to say about the Tinker is that I did get it in, let's see, the 23rd of August 2019, and I have not sharpened it once. I do hone it regularly, but I do not sharpen it once. And so, hopefully this review was helpful. If you have any questions, drop them down below, and see you next time. Now, it isn't because this is a big knife that it means you can't do something like cut garlic. In fact, even though it has a thick spine, it has a really thin edge, and so you can do precise work like cut garlic, no problem. And as you saw, you can also just use the blade to crush and get that clove right out of the way. The tank can do essentially whatever you want it to. Look at that food release. Exceptional. Little cherry tomato. Let's get this real thin. Nice slab of pancetta, no problem. The knife is long enough to get me the slices that I need through what's typically a fairly difficult piece of meat to cut, just because of how much fat there is. It really sticks to the blade. Again, you can see I'm doing a great job at not sticking. There you go, there's my diced pancetta for eggs Sunday morning. Now, of course, we can't do a knife review video without showing how it slices through an onion. Pretty much a staple food in all cuisines. Don't necessarily need to keep the root on, but I'll keep it until I get to the root. You know what? Let's dice the onion. Why not? Just to show you how easily it slides through a medium red onion. We're gonna go for a bit of a bigger dice. Here's that cleaver coming into action with that high belly, making it really easy for even if the food sticks to just rise up the blade as opposed to fall over it. There you go. There's half an onion diced. Now, of course, if you ask me, the whole beauty of this knife is how it can tackle something like garlic, really fine cuts, to a nice sweet potato. Look how cute it is. It's growing leaves while it kind of just waited to be cut in our little closet. So let's see what this can do. For something that's a very dense starch, honestly, that's a very easy cut. Let's take our peeler out. Go rustic cut sweet potato fries. Can make them a little thinner, of course. And here, let's go and cube this.